guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Cody. This is a week and a day after the event. I had a little bit more planned for this weekend. I was going to swap out the radiator in the car just as a preventative measure and replace the expansion tank in the E46, but I ordered the wrong ones for an E36. So I'm currently figuring out the return situation with that, and then we're going to end up shipping it back in the right one, so maybe next weekend. But I have been cleaning up the engine bay. We took the windshield wiper reservoir out because I never use it. And I figured today I just need to fix the wheel that we broke at Firebird this last weekend. I got the tire dismounted. It's pretty eaten up, but to me, at least it looks like we have enough of a surface still there to get a beat on. So wanting to stay in the spirit of like keeping things as cheap as possible, I'm gonna go ahead and just take a file to it. So that's what today's gonna be, is just getting the wheel finished up just for the sake of staying consistent and filming something. And then when we actually order a new set of tires, I'll get them mounted and we'll talk about it a bit more then. But thank God it was a cheap wheel and not a really expensive fancy one that I had to import. So I'm gonna jump into this. We'll get this straightened up and I'll check back in once I have that done. All right, well, that was way faster than I thought it was gonna be. You see wifey sitting in the background, say Happy Mother's Day. Hi. So yeah, I mean, I hand filed a start, and then the Dremel with just like a sanding wheel, and honestly just tried to smooth out the edges as much as I could. There, we do have a little bit of a flat spot. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna balance out, but I mean, if you look at where the flat spot actually lies, it looks like we have enough of a lip to still set a beat on and not be a problem, but the inside of this lip was kind of marred up, chewed up, and sharp. So we just took it down a little bit. At this point, I don't really care if the wheel looks like it's new or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, the car's a drift car. It's not always gonna look perfect, and I didn't want to spend another $200 on another wheel just to get a tire on it if I can save this one. So it's not that big of a deal as to how it looks. Now, as far as the tire that was on it, that was about as close to new as you could hope for. And well, I would say the angle kit with the offset of the wheels without a spacer, just a little bit too aggressive. aggressive. The frame rail kind of took a giant bite out of what was otherwise a perfectly fine tire. So this tire's toast, but it's kind of a cool memento to hold on to. Even the bead on the other side where it scrubbed off the wheel is pretty much toast. So all in all, I guess that's what comes with the sport. I'm not too beat up about it. Kind of sucks, it's a tire, but we still have the other one that the wifey's sitting on right now. I'm not gonna change up anything as far as tires in the front. I'm still gonna be running the two 35 4018s, just because at least from one event and 6 laps, it feels like there's a decent amount of grip, and now that we have the 15 mil spacers in the front, it definitely feels a lot better, and we're not hitting the frame rail. I do need to get in there and end up hammering the frame rail a little bit just for clearance. But the rears, I'm gonna try a couple different size tires on the 18s and just see what feels best, and what the car feels good with, just because the 235s, while we were able to get the car sideways on our first run, it just felt really gripped up, and I was fighting the drivetrain. It just didn't feel like I had enough torque to keep them loose comfortably. So we'll see what happens there. But I guess that's gonna be mostly the video. I think I'm gonna cut to me inside where it's not hot in the garage and talk about a couple things that I wish I would have known going into my first drift event, and then we'll call her there and hope for the new radiator to be delivered by next weekend so we can get that done and out of the way before our next event, which we're hoping for June 1st. And then unfortunately, I think I'm gonna put the car down for the summer just because it gets way too damn hot out here in Arizona, and having wife, baby out at the track, not only is it not healthy for them, but it's also gonna be miserable in my car as well. So let's jump inside and we'll talk about the things that I wish I would have known. All right, back inside where I'm not dying of heat exhaustion. So yeah, like I said earlier, I was hoping to be swapping out the radiator and have a little bit more content to film. But that's just the name of the game. I didn't pay as much attention as I should have and just ordered the model 3054 radiator when I needed the model 3055. So is what it is. We'll tackle it as it comes. I'm glad I could get that wheel sorted out. It looks like it was salvageable and we'll be able to run another tire. So right now I want to talk about 3 things that I wish I would have known going into my first track day. I'm not, just as a disclaimer, I'm not the official on anything. I don't make the rules. This is just my experience, so take it with a grain of salt. But my first thing that I definitely recommend is, as soon as you get your tech card, when you get through the gate, fill it out and get to tech as fast as you can. At least for our event, tech filled up really quick, and had I not been 4th or 5th in line, it would have taken me forever. However, I didn't know this yet, and when the guy came to inspect my vehicle, he essentially just told me I'd screwed up and I needed to fill out my tech card, and I had to go looking for a pen, and it was a whole ordeal. So I would definitely recommend just taking a pen with you. Fill that card out as soon as you get it, or if you have somebody riding in your car with you that can fill it out with your information, even better. That way you can just unload the car and get it through tech. The second thing that I wish I would have known before my first event would definitely be invest in an electric impact. I'm telling you, it would have saved my ass after that D-beat on my second run, and probably would have given me an extra time for an extra 1 or 2 runs. If I was not having to pull back to pits, get the car jacked up, swap spares on, play with fitment with spacers, and the entire time I'm having to put the wheels on and off with a breaker bar. It just wasn't efficient, and I could have saved myself a lot of time and I could have saved myself a lot of time and given myself a lot more time on track just by bringing an electric impact and an extra battery. And then the last thing that I would say is, and arguably the most important, is ask questions if you're not sure about something. I've already known this because I've kind of I've been a spectator at a lot of these events. I've known a lot of people driving at these events, and I've met a lot of cool people enough to understand that pretty much everybody there, at least in my experience, is really welcoming and wants everybody to enjoy the sport, whether they're watching or driving. So if you're not sure about something, just ask. I was one of the few first-time drivers there, and I was not familiar with the track layout. And I just asked, should I road race it and kind of feel it out first? And the answer, of course, was yes, because the track surface was pretty slick, being refinished recently. And then, of course, we ran the parade lap, and I kind of understood where I was at as far as what the track felt like, what the layout was, and just overall becoming familiar with it. So if you have questions about things, especially with tech, just ask them questions. Everybody's really cool and welcoming. And personally, I've never met anybody in the sport that has been abrasive, but again, take it with a grain of salt. Just ask anybody that has a smile on their face, and that's usually everybody because they're enjoying their weekend. So yeah, that's the video for this week. I'm kind of bummed out that the radiator situation happened. It is what it is. We'll tackle it next week, but I wanted to stay consistent, and I needed to get the wheel thing done so that way we can get tires ordered and replace the wheels so the car's not looking like it skipped leg day. It's the only drawback to having over fenders on your car is if your spares are weak specs, or even if they're strong specs for stock body, as soon as you put them on a car with overs, it just doesn't look right. But that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for stopping by and watching again. If you enjoyed this week's video, leave a like and a comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys next week.